Buddy.
Yeah, good to be back. Let's start with the Indianapolis Colts. It's not good for Jim Irsay and company. They lost again last night. That's 5 straight losses. He was asked, obviously, about the chances that interim coach Jeff Saturday keeps the job. And Irsay confirmed Saturday will be in the mix.
Oh, boy. Head coach is unknown until the interview process goes forward. I will go into it fiercely open-minded, and I'll be looking for the best direction for us to win. Jeff, I believe, is an outstanding candidate. So obviously, he's competitive for that. Chris Ballard will be our general manager.
So let me ask you, do you think he's serious about that, or is he saying it to be positive?
You got to say it. He pulled the guy out of the booth to come and coach the team. They've gotten embarrassed in the fourth quarter, like 4 games in a row. He's just being a nice guy.
Okay.
That being said, Colin, I was just looking at the draft picks the Colts have this year coming up. They have a first. Yeah. They have a second. They have 2/3 from the Wentz deal. It could have been a second, but he hasn't played 70% of the snaps.
So that's 4 great picks.
Right. And they are now number 5 in the first round.
Yep.
It could go higher if they can lose the next 2. Colin,
they're going to get a quarterback.
If they start Nick Foles, they might go top 5.
No, they're going to get a quarterback.
That's the question. So now, if you're a head coach, I'm not saying Sean Payton would go to Indy, but I think this is maybe attractive. The problem is the owner is just so batty. Do you want to work for that kind of guy? But there's a lot to work with here when you look at a top 5 pick, maybe your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 quarterbacks that are really interesting. Will Levis is a big, strong NFL body from Kentucky. Now, again, I don't think he's gotten the greatest offensive coaching in Kentucky. That's not a knock on the staff. But he is big arm. He looks the part. Now, his stats aren't great. SEC is a great conference. If you don't have the right offensive guys, it can get choppy. He's very impressive. I've had 2 people in the NFL that I trust implicitly on offense. Both tell me that's their guy.
Yeah, don't rule him out going number 1 overall. I know that sounds crazy, but just be patient, guys.
And then there's Bryce Young, who's terrific, but smaller, been banged up in college. He was the number 1 high school quarterback. Very impressive. But we have now a series of Alabama quarterbacks who come to the NFL and look a little overwhelmed. We have not 1, not 2. We've got multiple that dominate in college. You get them in the NFL, and they look either small or not as talented or overwhelmed.
So you said there's 2. CJ Stroud?
I am not a huge...
Okay. He's got a chance this weekend against Georgia.
Yeah. So if he plays very well, it will matter.
Yeah. CJ Stroud in a dome playing in Indy? I mean,
now, are you... If you're asking me, I'd probably go Bryce, Will, Stroud would be my third.
We've still got to get to the interview process and all that fun stuff. But listen, all Stroud's done is do pretty damn good. Put up massive numbers at Ohio State. I know the Big Ten, there's some bad teams there. He wasn't bad against Michigan, but bottom line, this is not a terrible job unless you're skittish about the owner.
Can I say this? I do not believe we have a quarterback in this class that can overcome nonsense. The last couple drafts, we've had 1. Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, was good enough to overcome BS, chaos, a mess. He's winning big time in Jacksonville now. I do not believe the 3 choices here are that guy. I thought Andrew Luck could do it. Elway could do it. Trevor Lawrence could do it. I believe Caleb Williams has a look. Oh, yeah. He could do it at USC.
Drake May at UNC for now.
Yeah.
Quick word. Does Justin Fields, how he kind of improved? I know they've lost 1 million games in a row.
Yeah.
He has looked better this season than he did as a rookie. Ohio State guy.
So my takeaway before the season on Justin Fields was we have to give him a longer runway. Horrible O-line, not enough weapons, defensive coach, not a well-run organization historically. I believe we just let Justin Fields play the year. You look at the numbers, but I don't think they should bail on him. I think there's too much quality there. First of all, he's such a big, strong athlete. I could give you a highlight film of Justin Fields, and you'd think he's a Pro Bowler. He's got a little bit of Josh Allen, where you may have your doubts about him, but what you went back to with Josh Allen was, oh, my God, he just jumped over a linebacker. Justin Fields, to me, is Josh Allen. I know it's raw, but there's just too much wow for me not to support
Can we get him Stephon Diggs and see what happens? It would be nice for Justin Fields. All right, next story. The Jets have cleared Mike White. This happened yesterday, Colin. I was literally doing cartwheels here on the set. It was so exciting. Mike White cleared to return from the rib injury against the Seahawks. The line went up from 1 to 2.5. It's sitting there as we speak. He had been out the last 2 games with the rib injury. Now, Mike White was very good in Minnesota in the second half. They nearly got the victory. They lost, but covered. Then he showed toughness and grit against Buffalo. Again, another cover, but they lost. Zach Wilson is now inactive. I think it's safe to say he is.
Can we also say this? I'm rooting for Robert Saleh. He's an occasional viewer or listener to the show.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm rooting for him. But what we told the audience is, remember, a lot of times teams are spreading an optimistic message, but it's not the truth. So you can't go from, I can't believe the media is unrealistic, to he's done. Jay Glazer's reported they're moving on. So this was one of those where I understand where coaches and GMs say things, be supportive. But the reason shows like this exist in some part is because we cut through the nonsense. Zach Wilson is not an NFL quarterback, and Robert Saleh has proven he can build a defense. Joe Douglas has proven he can build a roster. This is not a rebuild. They got a good team. This is a quarterback and a left tackle. They're ready to go. So Zach, I feel bad for Zach, but you know what? He'll bounce around, back up, but he does not feel like a franchise quarterback.
Just so we know, Sam Darnold, remember, with the Jets, struggled. Yeah. They kicked him to the curb. Yeah. And now he's got Carolina on the doorstep of the playoffs. I mean, it's not totally him, but it's not over for Zach Wilson. He can get another shot somewhere, but it's just not going to be with the Jets. Yeah. It's sad to see. Final story, Baker Mayfield played well against the Broncos. Boy, this Denver defense, I was on them, Colin. I was embarrassed that I picked them 17-0 right out of the gate. Baker finishes 24 of 28 for 230 and 2 scores. Both touchdown passes went to Tyler Higbee. And he thinks that Baker has shown in his short time with the Rams that he belongs in the NFL.
A lot about him, who he is as a player, as a person, just his ability. The guy's a competitor, and again, a good quarterback. He belongs in this league, and I think he's proven that.
Said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,001. He is one of the most talented 32 quarterbacks on the planet. He's not who I would build around, but he is a franchise quarterback. I do believe now he has earned a bridge quarterback opportunity. And again, building around Baker for 2 is not building around Baker for 5 or the future. He never, to me, was a franchise guy, too much cowboy. But I have defended him 1,000 times on he is absolutely one of the 32 best guys in the league, probably about 20th, 22nd, somewhere. Throwing a football, planting, running a team, a lot of confidence, not as good as he thinks, but that's okay. Everybody has higher opinion of themselves than other people. That's okay.
Very true. So, Colin, Baker's been on 3 teams this calendar year, which is insane, and he was the number 1 overall pick. I'll ask you, you love playing this game. Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield today?
I don't like the question. Well, you're asking. I don't think I'd want to build around either.
Okay. But if you're the Houston Texans, you kicking the tires on Baker Mayfield?
I think Baker's a better fit in Houston. Purdy's a better fit with the Niners. They just want him to run it. No cowboy.
Yeah, okay.
Don't bring any ego and commercials. You are the least talented guy on the team. Run the ship.
So
I think it's harder to tell Baker that.
That's the right end. Brock knows how to be a quarterback. Hey, don't do this.
Well, for this team, yeah.
I don't think Baker understands. Don't do this. Don't try to do too much.
And all the chutzpah that Baker brings to the table is actually great in Houston. They could use some of it. Yeah. So Baker's personality, a little over the top for me, is perfect in Houston. I have no problem bringing Baker in Houston. I still would draft a quarterback, probably.
Okay, I'll ask final question. What's going on with the Rams? Are you hearing anything? Have you kicked the tires on any of your...
I know what's going on. What are you asking?
What's happening there? What's going on with the head coach, Matt Stafford?
I'll say this. How good of a coach is Sean McVay? I see a lot of these teams that could bail. Look how well they're playing. He is dealing with backups and scout team guys. Worst offensive line injuries in the league. McVay has proven how great a coach he is. He is working with nothing here. Nothing. He made Baker fit. Look how good Baker Mayfield is here and how bad he was in Carolina. That is Sean McVay. Nobody would ever give him Coach of the Year. But if they won their last 2 games, that is a classic doing the most with what you have. McVay has had a stellar last 2 or 3 weeks.
So the OC is going back to college. What percentage is McVay sticking around next year as head coach?
90%.
Okay.
Hey, Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
The media has often seen itself. I've often compared it to the IRS. We're not built to be liked. We audit. Sometimes we give you a check. Sometimes we ask for more. So the media is not